Yeah, and May Day, May 8th, 5 to 7. I know I'm trying to figure out. I think Monday, Miss Stafford, is Monday an even day with resource?
I have it right here.
It is, yeah. Okay. So I think this Saturday is a qualifier for track. Because we have one student who might go to states depending after this meet on this weekend. I think.
Yes, Monday is even.
Add that on there too.
Confirming.
Thank you. It is Miss Swan started our recording. Thank you, Miss Swan. And Crystal left.
Wait,
Because of the recording.
she didn't leave. It kicks her out when I start the recording. Yeah.
Come back in. So she could just join us when she kind of gets in. So hop back in again. So 5:06 now. So want to go ahead and call this meeting to order. Want to again thank everyone for taking the time to join us today for our April SCC meeting. For those of you that don't know who I am, I'm TJ Gill. I'm the SCC chairperson for Kohala High School. And it did kick her Crystal out again, so she's gonna try and see if she can get back in. So at this time, let's go ahead and go around the room, real quick introductions. Since we have our camera on, I'm just gonna say your name and then you can just give a wave. So first we have Tasia Thornton, who represents our certificated employees here at the school. We have Gina Rocha, who is our SASA and our non-certificated or classified support staff representative. We have Ross Paget, who is our community liaison. We have Brenda Swan, who is our PCNC and our secretary. Am I missing anyone else? We have Miss Stafford, principal at Kohala High School. And we'll kind of wait for Crystal to come back on and Michaela, our student representative, to come on as well. But we'll go ahead and proceed with the meeting just to honor your time. So that's our introductions.
That's just an overview of what we'll be looking at for main things that we'll be looking at for this time. So the first slide is actually yours, TJ.
Yes, so for our agenda for today, we're going to be going ahead and looking at nominations for our SCC board, which consists of our parent and community representatives. So we're looking at probably the week of nominations are open now. So if you know anyone that wants to be part of our SCC, try to get them to come on board. We want to try and get nominations done by next week, Friday, so that we can have elections by the week of May 8th to the 12th. And then once elections are done, we can install our new community representative and parent representatives by our next May meeting, which will be on the 25th of May. Followed by, we have our academic plan highlights, our end of year dates and events, and of course a STUCO update. I hope you all had the opportunity to look at our minutes from April meeting. After you have had a chance to read that, if I could get a nomination, please, a motion for approval of our April minutes.
Motion to approve.
Thank you. It has been moved that we approve April minutes. Is there a second?
I second.
Thank you. It's been moved and seconded that we approve our April minutes. Any discussion?
Sorry, that would be the March minutes.
Oh,
yeah.
I'm sorry, March.
Yeah.
Sorry. March minute. All those in favor, say aye.
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 Thank you. All those opposed? see that there's no opposition. March minutes approved, then filed. And I turn it over to Ms. Stafford.
All right, I'm just going to hit some highlights on that actually should have said the academic plan and some financial plan or position updates for the next school year. So thank you to the SCC board who looked over our academic plan and this draft that this overview draft as well that I put out that just kind of focuses on the main areas that we're going to be looking at next year as a school. This is a living document, and so it'll have draft on here until it's approved by the state. But we'll be looking at it on a quarterly basis. So we have someone that's working with us to take this plan and turn it into goals for our school that we'll be looking at each quarter and then making adjustments as needed. If it seems that we're doing really well on something, we might adjust it to change it to something else. Or if it seems that we needed to go back a little bit with our coaching and support or add something else in, we can always do that because the academic plan is a living document. But some of the things that were on the first page of the overview included just working to see how we can engage students in their learning. So providing more student choice and voice in the way that they show what they know, the way that they learn different things, having more hands-on and real world relevant experiences. We know that this generation is the Y generation, so they want to see how things connect to what they're going to be doing in the real world, because if they don't see that connection, they have a harder time engaging with us in class. So the staff section and the systems of support section will be coaching and training and improving on our systems to support those opportunities for students. So if you look under the student success side, it just talks about implementing research-based, relevant instructional practices that are aligned to the standards and support all students in classes. We're going to be working on how do we meet the needs of students that are on grade level, that are above grade level, and that are below grade level, and still give everyone the same access to the grade level standards. And we'll be supporting staff by doing classroom walkthroughs and being able to provide some feedback immediately and training if needed so that we can give them the support and the coaching that they need to be able to support our students. And then just looking at, planning more real world experiences with internships, with field trips, having more guest speakers in classes, really helping students see the connection with how their learning actually translates to the real world. And then if you want to go to the next page, there was just one more page. Again, this is at the top. It doesn't say it, but student, staff, and system support. So looking at how we can provide safe and supportive learning environments. We know that post-COVID, the way I've been referring to this, and I just heard someone else say it, I just got back from a trip on the mainland to learn more about professional learning communities and go to a district that's implementing really good collaborative learning teams at their school of teachers. And we've been talking about the remnants of COVID. So I see it as like a storm where the storm is over, the storm's been over, we're not in the middle of the storm anymore, but there's all of this, debris still lying around. There's still things that we've got to continue to address as a result of COVID in the last few years. And we're just starting to see more with how students are suffering emotionally, mentally, the academic difficulties that they're having because of trying to keep up online. And so a lot of this section focuses on that. How can we make things equitable in classes, provide that support that's needed, and still hold students to high expectations and accountability for their actions and for their own learning as well. So again, just looking to increase student engagement and have them more engaged in the school, but this area focuses more on their social emotional well-being, having after school clubs, finding something that kids can connect to, and it may not be academics at the school. So a training that we just had recently, thanks to Partners in Development on suicide prevention, talked about the way to help and support students is by ensuring that they have one adult that they connect to, one other student on campus they connect to, and an activity that they connect to. And if there's a meaningful activity, an adult and a student, that will help them be more successful and recognize that they have the support that they need. also looking at some successful transitions for our students. So we know coming from middle school to high school is a big change. And so, really looking at the curriculum that we're offering in our transition to high school classes for all freshmen and making sure that we're being intentional with how we're supporting them as they transition from middle school to high school, more classes, longer class periods, and just all the differences that come with not being the top dog anymore, but you're at the bottom of the 4-year chain. So, and on the other end, we're offering college and career readiness classes for all seniors next year as well, with the same intention of how do we help them be prepared and successfully transition to the real world and whatever their post-secondary plans are. So looking at all of the things we want to be able to do for students. So what does that look like for the staff? That's that middle column. How are we going to help support and train the staff so they can do all these things in their classes? And then what systems can we improve upon and put in place so that we ensure that those things happen? And we did see some really, really good systems this trip that Mrs. Patel and I took to Seattle, Washington. The systems that they have in place are incredible so that there's early detection on things like attendance, behavior difficulty, students that are failing, who's responsible for what. So those are ways that we'll be looking to improve our systems. So we did have the SCC approved the draft of the academic plan for the 23-24 school year. Thank you for doing that. And we'll continue to give you updates all next year as we provide updates each quarter on how we're progressing toward our goals in the academic plan. Any questions before we go on to just an update on staff positions and where we are right now at this point in the year? Okay. Before we did our academic plan, we had to do our financial plan, and we went through that at our SCC meeting. And so we just finished the teacher transfer period, something called the TATP, which is for all teachers who have finished their probationary period, and then any teachers that are tenured are able to participate in transferring anywhere to any open positions that are posted within the state. And so we did post quite a few positions during round 1, TATP 1, and we were able to fill one of those positions at that time. And that was actually Mrs. Headland. So at the bottom of this slide, you just see it says, congratulations to Mrs. Headland for earning tenure and officially being a part of our social studies department now. So she was rehired at the school. She's no longer a pro-B teacher. She is a tenured teacher sitting in her same line of Hawaiian studies classes and participation in democracy and modern history of Hawaii classes that she's teaching. She'll continue in that position next year. So we still have open an ELA 11. Oh, sorry. We did during that first posting also, we hired somebody who's currently at the elementary school. Her name is Kristen Friedrich, and she will be teaching our ELA 11th and 12th grade writing classes. That was a position that was previously held by Mrs. Patel, who moved to become our curriculum coordinator full time. And so Kristen will be joining us next year in that position. We are still looking to fill an ELA 10 and also has transition to high school classes in that line, as well as a Spanish teacher / EL coordinator. And then during the last TATP, we posted a culinary position that no one chose to transfer into. So we're going through the next steps of the process to fill that position. Just an update of some things that we did talk about with the financial plan earlier is we do not have a VP for next year yet. I'm remaining hopeful, but we do have funds available if we do find somebody that we think would be a good fit for the school. We also are going down to 1 security guard to start next year. I am looking at if we don't get a VP or we're not able to finance a second security guard, or in place of financing a second security guard, that we would bring someone in who would be kind of our behavior manager to make sure that they're available for in-school suspension, to make sure students are following through on consequences like turning in their phones and showing up for morning recess or lunch duty or whatever they're assigned as a consequence. They would also kind of coordinate services. So if we have a student that's in ISS, they would make sure during that day that they're able to see the counselor or the BISAC counselor, or all those other pieces that are usually rolled into our consequences for referrals. So that would kind of help us cover some of those VP responsibilities and really maintain some consistency and follow up with any behavior referrals so that we ensure that students are following through on what their responsibilities are, rather than having a second security guard. We do not have an art position next year, but we have taken all of those classes and have incorporated them into other teachers' lines. So we have 2 teachers that will be teaching art classes next year. So we'll still be able to offer 3 art classes next year as well, even though we don't officially have an art line by itself on our schedule. And we are looking for after-school partners and additional opportunities. Like I just talked about on that last page, having places where students can connect at school is really important. And our goal is by the end of first quarter for every student to be connected, be able to identify an adult they connect with, a student, and an activity. So even if they're not taking advantage of things that we have here at school, are they playing club sports, or are they involved in an after school opportunity someplace else in town, or maybe in Waimea, but just making sure that they have some additional opportunities available to them after school where they can continue to grow and learn, and helping make those connections. So we are definitely looking for experts, anyone that feels that they have some skills that they'd like to hand down to our students. We'd love to talk with you and see what you think you could offer as an after school club potentially for us and our students next year. Any questions about the positions that we're still filling for next year, looking to fill, or anything that you don't see on here that you have questions about? Yep, go ahead, TJ.
Miss Swan's attendance, 3rd position in part of that. We added it. The second security guard, the attendance clerk.
No, that's just all kind of roped in. She's an EA position. I kind of keep adding responsibilities to that one position. So she's an educational assistant and our PCNC with many roles and many hats. Any other questions about the positions for the 23-24 school year that's getting closer and closer by the minute?
For the behavior person, will they be full-time on campus?
Yes, I'm looking to bring that person in potentially as a teacher position.
Okay.
So we're just finding this year that we really need some help with aligning those services. And then, we're looking to also have a reset room next year that I'm working with the counselor on, where students can go to kind of reset and hopefully return to class. And that requires that somebody's there to kind of get them out of class and help them talk through whatever they're going through so that they can hopefully go to the room, reset, and get back into class as quickly as possible. But we do know sometimes our kids get set off in class or they have a hard time going to class. So we're looking to have a place where they can manage themselves and learn some new techniques as well that will hopefully help them calm down so that they can return to class successfully. And that person would be able to help us with that.
For the VP position, you have a what you call it, like in TATP, you have a open for our school, or you just have funds available but no position?
Just funds available. I didn't post it yet. There's several schools without VPs right now, and so I'm aware of the pool that's out there. And right now, I just feel like for our VP position, we're not looking to just have a VP, but we're looking for the right VP. It's almost $100,000 position, and so I might be trying to.
It's not posted. How would people know to apply?
We're trying to find somebody more in-house, so more word of mouth. Someone that can come in that maybe knows our community already and can provide the support that we need, because I need
I
somebody
feel
who's
like you really, yeah, you
my opposite, someone
yeah,
who's my opposite, right?
you need a VP because you have a lot on your plate. I just feel
There's
like,
a, there's a certain skill set that's needed for this position, and because we'd be able to provide the funding for 1 year from this other source, but then we'd need to wrap it into our financial plan, it's really got to be the right person, because it's going to greatly affect other positions at school or other things at school, with our lower enrollment, with the freshman class that's coming in that's smaller, sped funds that are lower this year as well. So we want to make sure, I know I have a lot on my plate and people are being very patient with me, but I also don't want to affect people that we have on campus just to have someone in that position that's not going to be able to do the job that we need them to do as well. So we're getting the word out there by word of mouth, and looking to see if there's potential in-house as well, possibly.
okay,
We've also got, other schools where you can TA a VP. Once you have that position, you can TA somebody from another school, even if needed. So working with the other principals too, and just seeing what and who is available out there and needs the experience, but would be a good fit.
okay.
So yeah, anybody who's hearing this, who might have a teaching certificate that would be interested in, trying it out for a year without having to make any huge commitments, we would definitely be open to talking about that.
But that leaves you with another open position. So,
Right. So if we're able to do that, then I'd be looking to pull someone into that teaching position as the behavior management intervention person potentially, or being able to fill some other needs on campus if we end up, it's not someone who we're pulling from a position, it's a teaching position that we need to fill. Correct.
okay.
Just depends on who the person is and how that works out. We do have more of a pool to pull from for teaching positions though than we do for VPs right now.
So one of the qualifications is they have to have a teaching certificate, Amy? Is that?
Yeah, to be able to TA, you have to be in a teaching position, or you have to meet the minimum requirements set by the DOE to be an educational officer. So, but if you have a teaching certificate and then you're in the classroom, you can be a teacher on special assignment.
So if they TA, do they still have to go to the classes, to be able
They would have some support through the VP meetings that our district has, but they would not have to go through the program unless that was
Yeah, the
something that they
program.
chose to stay in and to have a more permanent job. Until you go through that program, you cannot, you might not be able to do it for another year if there's a qualified applicant that could go into that position. So
If-
after that year, they could go into the program if it was something they felt they were interested in. That's the path I took.
If we do end up getting a VP, say halfway through the year, would we still have funding to keep the behavior person as
Yes,
full-time for
this
the remainder
funding,
of year two?
the funding for the VP is coming from a whole different resource.
Also,
But
so we still have
that once we use it, it's gone kind of resource. It's not one that refills each year either. But yeah, once we make that decision, we've got the funding for it without having to take away from other places. Great questions. So now that you've got all that information, you guys can start keeping an eye out for us too.
Any updates as far as filling the cafeteria manager's position? I know that I'm not just sitting.
That's a great question. It is sitting now because we have requested lists. We've had a few names that have come through that have been on the list, but they either had positions elsewhere or chose not to interview. And our last communication that we received is there's no one else on the list. So we have no one to interview right now that meets those minimum qualifications. So we're very thankful that Jean has been willing to TA into that position for a big chunk of this year. And she's been doing some training even before Scylla retired. So that's another position that we have open that we're looking for people that meet the requirements and the qualifications to apply on EHR. So it is kind of sitting right now. There's no one to interview right now. I think that's our last one in the cafeteria that we need to fill though. But I know it's a biggie. We're very, very fortunate that we have a lot of people that have stepped up this year to help fill vacant positions, including just, you know, staff that's been willing to fill in when we're shorthanded here at school. We have a small sub pool, but I think we're doing better than some schools and communities, but we've always been able to cover our classes, and we haven't had to resort to having a bunch of classes go into the library together to just work and have a study hall. We've been able to cover our classes each day with the staff that we have, which I'm very thankful for. And as well as cover in the cafeteria, although I know that there's a lot of days that they're doing double and triple duty as well up there. Yep, I think we're ready for the next one. All right, and just a few dates to make sure you add to your end of the year special dates and events. There is a lot going on. May is already upon us next week. And so just so that you know, next week is Staff Appreciation Week. And so we hope that anyone that sees this or hears this will be sure to give a thank you or an extra big smile to all of our staff on campus for everything that they do. We really are fortunate to have the people that we do that care so much about this community and our students. So we'll be celebrating them next week, all of next week, although we really need the whole year to celebrate everything that they do. May 5th, the seniors are going to be getting pictures in their caps and gowns. We're just solidifying that time. We were going to do it around 11 something. We're trying to see if we can move it to the very beginning of the day. But we've got to work with the photographers on that because it's kind of last minute. I don't know if it'll work. We're trying to make it so there's less disruption in classes because we're getting really close to finals week. And we figured if the kids can just get here, either show up in their cap and gown and go through and get their picture real quick, or they're able to change before school and be ready, that would cut down on some of the transition time. So we'll be sending something out with more specifics via email and probably our social media as soon as we have the exact time. But seniors should plan on bringing their cap and gown to school May 5th. May 8th, and STUCO will talk about this a little bit later, but that's going to be May Day is going to be during the school day, and there's also a night performance, and it's also Spirit Week. And we'll be kicking it off with our May Day performance and everybody dressing in their aloha wear. So the week after that is finals week already, and there's a special schedule that week. The times are the same, but the classes are a little bit different. And that got mailed out a while ago to all students, all families. The staff have it up in all of the classrooms and in areas all over campus. So if you don't have a copy of that schedule yet, you can check our website, our social media, or have your student take a picture of one that's hanging around campus so that they have that finals week special schedule. We're trying to limit how many classes they have finals in each day and give a little bit of time for makeup and study and, you know, doing some last minute check-in with teachers. We're also going to have a special assembly that week with students and STUCO. More info coming on that soon. May 19th, which is a Friday, is that mandatory graduation practice all day for seniors. It's a lot of fun for them. They go to the gym at Kamehameha Park all day and they practice and they help set up. They eat food together, some breakfast goodies and lunch goodies, and just make sure that they're set for the next day, which is May 20th at 2 o'clock when graduation will take place. Each graduate will have 2 tickets that they'll get, or 2 wristbands that they'll get for guests to sit on the floor. And then the rest will be first come, first serve in that gym, just like the good old days. So this will be our first open graduation since I've been principal at the high school, which is amazing and very exciting. And then May 25th will be our final SCC meeting. And I'll probably get on just to do a quick, if there's any loose ends we need to tie up for the year. But if we don't, it'll just be all you guys. That's when you do your review of me. and submit that. And then the last day for students is the next day after that, May 26th. And that's it. All of the events for the end of the year fit on one page. We're down to it. But a lot of these things will be found, you'll be able to see in our main newsletter that will be coming out soon as I can get my part done. And so all of these dates will be in there also. And the finals week schedule, we'll get all of that in there for you so you have it in writing as well. Yes, Ross,
Sorry, can I add one more thing in May?
the coffee talk. Go
Yes,
ahead.
for
Go ahead.
that coffee talk, and then coffee talk. We scheduled that for May.
We changed it, and so I didn't have it in my list.
Hold on, I want to say it's May 15 at 9 o'clock in the morning.
Yes. And is there something else?
Yeah, May 18th, there will be special guests coming to visit the campus. Some funders to visit Koala, and they're looking to see if they what Koala is doing as a community school model, and if they see that that the community school model is a great way to help students and families, that they're looking to fund more money towards community schools. But they wanted to come to Koala and visit the Koala schools and visit with the principals and some staff members. So I may be reaching out to some of you and asking if you'd be available to talk to the funders, if that's okay with Amy.
We can definitely talk details and work something out so
Yeah.
that you know exactly where you're going to be and who's available, so we can make sure they're
Yeah,
available.
so I can say there probably might be about 10 people
Oh,
coming.
wow.
So this
Okay.
may be multiple funders coming to the schools. So I'll get more details out to you, Amy, as I hear more from home base on Oahu.
I think Thursday the 18th at the end of the school day is the yearbook signing party, if I'm not mistaken.
It is. That's part of our finals week schedule as well.
Perfect. So
Just a heads up.
they can see the students mingling.
Mingling and having fun. Maybe we need to get some community members to help out that afternoon
Okay.
on
All right.
campus.
Hey Ross, Miss Megs is taking care of the yearbook signing party if you want to reach out to her.
Okay. Thank you.
I know she's got a bunch planned already, that's why.
Okay.
And I'm just going to add on, so it's on our May 15th at 9 o'clock is the coffee talk. Okay, so it'll be on there when we publish the presentation now. Anything else we're forgetting on here so we can make sure we have these dates available for families? The yearbook signing party and the awards assembly will be on the finals week schedule when we publish that in the newsletter.
I
But
believe,
we can bring special attention to it.
I believe.
What about the
May-
athletic banquet?
Yeah, so the athletic banquet I believe is what, May
16.
16th?
Yeah.
Yeah, at 5:30 to 7:30.
And then maybe put the time for the May Day performance for the community.
time for the evening one.
Yeah, for the evening one. Isn't it 5 to 7, I think?
Well, I talked to Kay Howe earlier today, and she wasn't sure how much she wanted to publish it to non-family members right now, because she's not sure how many people we can handle or have security for. So as far as like broadly sharing that, I'm holding off until I hear from her.
Yeah, we were still trying to see because how many people that the court members were going to have, and then see what the capacity looked like for that evening performance.
And then I think FFA is having their end of year banquet on the 12th of May.
Yeah, and so the things that I put on here were more, I think, school-wide or community-wide, but we have a lot more going on, a few things going on just in that finals week schedule, as well as some special things going on for our athletes and for, we have some clubs, a lot of clubs like our esports club that made it to the playoffs, and we have so many athletes. We've got our softballs going to states now next week. We have some tennis players going to states next week. So there's a lot of great things that have happened. Our FFA team, that several people made it to states and then ended up winning at states. So yeah, I'm hoping we can publish a lot of those names in our May newsletter. I've just got to be able to get all of those details together for Miss Swan. All right, and I think just in time we have our STUCO update, and I was just going to add to this slide, Michaela, as you talk.
Sorry, kind of came late, but May Day is on May 8th. First program is for students and staff only, and then 5 to 7 is the community. Within that week is also Spirit Week, and we have dress up days and games for that whole week, and end of the year assembly on that Friday. I believe it's the 12th. And then next week we should have somebody giving a presentation about, is it like drunk driving, Anastasia?
Yes, the traffic safety campaign the following week. Mhm.
Is
Well,
there anything else I'm missing?
if it gets approved.
Sorry, I'm supposed to look at that email tonight. I was given a reminder that it's in my inbox.
Am I missing anything else, Anastasia? Oh, sorry.
So I think Ross, just for like your part of the, if we do the traffic safety campaign, one of the things that the students really wanted to do was a sign waving as school was ending. And so if we do that, I would pull some of the kids out from school, maybe like 15 minutes early from class so they could get lined up. And so we were thinking it would be between where you and Uncle TJ stand in the morning along that grass, and they would hold the signs for like safe driving and that types of things. And so that way, as people are picking up and doing that school end of the day pickup on that Friday, that would be where we were thinking of. And if you were like I don't know, I wanted to like pick your brain and see like what your thoughts were on that. If that would be okay with you.
Oh yeah, I mean that's actually a nice spot to be standing. Wait, this is for after school, you said?
Yeah, it'll be after school. So like I wanted it to be like during, because it can't be too much after school.
Right.
So I was thinking like as the school day was ending, and so as people were coming to pick up, like we could catch all the pickup traffic.
Yeah. Are you trying to catch just the high school, or are you trying to catch elementary as well?
We were trying to catch elementary and high school. But then elementary finishes earlier, right?
Yeah. If so, the starting of the pickup starts at 2:00.
Okay.
Oh, so if the students are out there standing right where in between will be me and TJ on the main road, at least when they're driving out, they'll be able to see the students with their signs as they're driving out of the school.
That'd be awesome.
So,
okay.
So 2:00 is normally
150. Then I know we have a chorus event planned, so I would be pulling them from that. I think, Miss Stafford, is that correct? That the course.
I have to look at your proposal, but the date is the 5th.
Yeah.
Is it that? That Friday.
Course, right?
That Friday is when we have PLO is at the end of the day.
Okay. So yeah. Okay. Awesome.
May 5th. Okay, I'm gonna put that on my own.
As a possibility, it's not set in stone
yet. Yeah, I'm putting tentative.
Safe driving campaign is going to be on May 5th. Okay, so I've added in a Spirit Week and the awards and Spirit Assembly and Safe Driving campaign.
Okay, and then Amy, I forgot one more other thing. The special guest, Dr. Kimo Alameda, speaking on the drugs on May 24th.
It is that last Wednesday of school. We're going to have an extended homeroom. So we're actually going to have a special schedule that week. We're just finalizing some of the details to send it out to teachers. But we're going to be working with Hip Bag for some special field trips for all the students that are left on campus because we won't have seniors that week. And then a special substance abuse presentation by Dr. Kimo Alameda.
Okay.
Trying to send our students off with some good skills and good reminders for the summer when they're not going to be with us every day, and hopefully expose them to some things that will help them make really good choices. All right. And that's my last slide. Is there anything that anybody else needed to add on to our presentation in our almost last meeting of the 22-23 school year? All right.
Okay, well, thank you, everyone. I kind of let's open it up now. Anybody want any announcements, questions, comments? Seeing that there's none, can I get a motion for adjournment?
A motion to adjourn.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
You, it's been moved by Ross, seconded by Gina for adjournment. Any discussion? Seeing there's none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Thank you, everyone, for joining us today and taking the time. Have a great evening.
Thank you, everybody.
Next month. Aloha.
Aloha.
It's 5:46.